so competition among local stations is keen. You could call it Radio Wars. Tonight, Bill Francis begins a look at the top 5 stations in town based on listeners 12 years and older. The countdown begins with station number 5.
Louisville's only full-service FM, 96 WQMF, Jeffersonville, Louisville.
It bills itself as a different kind of radio station. With its adult rock music format and its irreverent style, 96 WQMF is the home of The Asylum, hosted by Ron Clay, the station's longtime morning star.
That's Neil with his Chairman Mao hat. Still mad. He's a loose cannon, but you need guys like that, you know? You really do.
Clay used to be somewhat of a loose cannon himself, but he's just turned 40 and is mellowed. Still with sidekicks Barry and Troy, anybody and anything are a target for biting satire.
When I become president, we will declare war on somebody, quick, before our Navy destroys itself. We lost another bomber yesterday. Did you read that?
The kind of show we're doing, it depends on the day, what's in the news, what's going on. The day after the earthquake, we had a real somber, serious tone kind of broadcast. But then on other days, these two guys will come in and annoy me, and it just takes off from there.
Now with the latest on the road show, let's go back to Becky in the Sky.
That's Chris. Right now, 65 northbound, you've got moderately heavy traffic out to Cardinal Stadium.
Like an aging baby boomer, QMF has matured. It does more news and information than it used to, and yes, its airborne traffic reports are real.
Yesterday's hippies are today's yuppies, as everyone knows, and so that means rock and roll, of course, but it also means news and information.
Listening to QMF, you get the feeling no one is in control here, but it's very much the opposite. This is a slick operation with lots of stability. Midday personality Duke Meyer on why he's been with the station since it signed on in 1981.
I'm not very talented. Nobody else wants me, to be honest with you. No, I've had my opportunities in something about being comfortable. It's a good family situation.
Much of QMF's success can be attributed to its owner, known to listeners as Diamond John.
If you take a look at us, we probably got one of the longer tenured staffs in this marketplace, and it gets pretty long tenured when you start looking across America. So we approach this business a little bit differently than a very big, broad-based company does.
Otting recently turned down what he says was lots of money from someone wanting to buy WQMF. But he says he'd rather build his own chain of radio stations based on the success of QMF. Tomorrow, I'll look at one of Louisville's oldest radio stations. Bill Francis, Channel 32 News.
Good girls, your sweetness on LOU.
Almost since the day it signed on in the late 1940s, LOU has had the same basic format, programming to Louisville's black audience. It's blended rhythm and blues with jazz and gospel. But now its mainstay is called urban contemporary, the music of the inner city. Still, LOU says it attracts more than just blacks.
I'm always running across people in the community, black and white, who talk about they grew up listening to this station. And I think that we have a large white-based audience.
This year, LOU has surged in the ratings. One reason is that a rival FM station that played the same kind of music changed formats. That rivalry produced some tough times for LOU, forcing it to drop its longtime news department.
When we dropped the news department, it was a budget cut. But and we have it here recently. We started giving some consideration to it, but nothing has been finalized as of yet.
LOU has a long history of community service to its audience. For 10 summers, it has sponsored Summerfest, which draws huge crowds in Louisville's West End. LOU hopes for good times in the coming year as it continues to serve its distinct audience. Bill Francis, Channel 30.
Bill Francis continues his special series of reports.
A guy with a chest like mine intimidates anybody, buddy. They call me Schwarzenminers.
He has to wear a corrective shirt because if he turns sideways, he disappears otherwise. Gary is next here on the news leader, 84 WHAS, Louisville.
Since its beginnings in the 1920s, WHAS Radio has always kept up with the times while maintaining a strong news and public service commitment. Unlike most radio stations that have one basic format throughout the day, this radio station offers a little bit of everything, including the afternoon shenanigans of funny man Terry Miners.
You and me right now.
Well, okay, that's kind of a switch, Governor, but sure, go ahead, yeah.
Hey, Torta, you got to get on there every day and talk about how I'm letting that Fruit of the Loom underwear company...
Mornings on HAS Radio are a little more serious with lots of news, weather, sports, and helicopter traffic reports. This week, longtime broadcaster Wayne Perky is starting his 21st year, keeping the whole thing going.
I'm just sort of the glue between the elements, you know. I'm the cohesion between. My job is to make it work and move.
HAS Radio is most proud of its news operation, which has won a number of national awards.
We have a staff of 8 full-time people, a couple of part-time people. These are reporters, and we cover things. And I think that's something that makes us unique in this market.
This radio station is a news station, it's a weather station, it's a traffic information station, it's an entertainment station, it's a sports station, it's a number of different things. It's terrific, you know, but it makes it difficult to market.
During the last year, HAS Radio has fallen from number 2 to number 3 in listeners 12 and older, another sign of the intense competition among local radio stations.
I think we have some very sharp radio operators in the market, and I believe that the station will probably be back into a number 2 position in a short period of time.
Well, you know, I'm going to give you some recruiting news, or I'm going to tell you that I'm going to give you some recruiting news.
With its heavy emphasis on sports, its talk show with Milton Metz, and its 50,000-watt reach into some 35 states at night, HAS Radio should be a force to contend with as the radio wars continue. Bill Francis, Channel 32 News.
Try to entertain, yeah. And we entertain ourselves, I think. And if we laugh, we hope that people are laughing along with us. Either that or they're going, oh, those guys!
This is one high-energy radio station. With its contemporary hits music format, DJX has steadily improved in the ratings after new owners took over more than a year ago. They stuck with what they believe was a winning format.
We've been very consistent in the format. We've been doing the same thing for going on 5 years now. And Pete and Joe have been doing the morning show, the Pete and Joe morning show, for going on 3 years now. So consistency in this day and age seems to pay off very, very nicely.
WDJX is part of the Stoner Broadcasting chain. The new owner spent a lot of money on promoting the station, something they believe is necessary in this highly competitive radio market.
Everybody is starting, as we've seen across the nation, taking their segment of the market and zeroing in on what their piece of the pie.
DJX targets its programming to young adults, and it looks like for now it's one of the winners in the radio wars. Bill Francis, Channel 32 News.
I didn't know Joe...